we have Dr. Sugand to present on the topic pleural effusion. To moderate the event, we have with us today the Director of Institute of Child Health, Dr. Elarsi ma'am, and Dr. Rukmani ma'am. Elarsi ma'am is a simple but strong and sturdy leader who inspires her students to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. Dr. Rukmani ma'am is a very kind and affable professor who kindles the interest of learning in her students in innovative ways. I'm really happy to welcome you both to Intensive Clinical Training Program, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good morning to one and all. Good morning, ma'am. Master Dileepan, a 5-year-old male child who is a firstborn to third-degree consanguineous parentage, was hailing from RNE, brought by father whose reliability is good, with chief complaints of fever for 7 days duration and breathlessness for 4 days duration. History of presenting illness: a history of fever for 7 days, which was low to moderate grade and intermittent in nature. Was evening rise of temperature was present. It was not associated with chills, rigors, or rashes. The fever was temporarily reduced with the use of antipyretics. Child was otherwise well and active in between the fever spikes.
So the evening rise of temperature, how significant and what it is?
Evening rise of temperature denotes, in case of tuberculosis, it will be evening rise of temperature will be present, ma'am. And
is it a very abnormal phenomenon?
no, ma'am. Normally the children will have the evening rise of temperature. So
not children. Everybody's evening temperature rises a bit. It is the exaggeration of the normal phenomenon. Yes. So that is what. And it is so much seen in TB. We give, but in children, do we really see so much?
No.
Yeah. We may not see so much, but those days we were giving a lot of importance. One more thing, more than the evening rise of temperature, something else is important in adolescents and bigger children and maybe adults also is what? More of evening or night, what do they get?
Chills and rigors.
More than night sweats.
Night sweats.
Okay, that's important. Okay, go ahead.
The history of breathlessness for 4 days duration, which was insidious in onset and gradually progressive in nature. Breathlessness was aggravated during the fever spikes and not associated with cough or chest pain. There was no history of any postural variation, no history of paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea or orthopnea. There was history of loss of appetite and loss of weight. There was no history of swelling over the neck, axilla, groin, suggestive of lymphadenopathy. There was no history of palpitations, recurrent LRI or cyanosis, suggestive of cardiac disease. No history of abdominal distension, leg swelling, reduced urine output, total CCF. And there was no history of any easy fatigability, bone pain, bleeding manifestation, joint pain, swelling or skin rashes, suggestive of hematologic or rheumatologic manifestations.
Okay, so you have almost everything negative except for a loss of appetite and weight, because we know what it is, but just for the revision sake, explain what is a significant weight loss in a child.
Significant weight loss means history of minimum weight loss of 5% over the past 3 months, or not gaining adequate weight for the past 3 months, or not gaining adequate weight after nutrition rehabilitation in case of SAM.
Yeah, so all this, not gaining weight in a SAM child in spite of rehabilitation, and 5% of the maximal observed weight. So this father is very clear that there was. So this is significant. Okay, right, go ahead. So what does it come, I mean in respiratory, because your case is respiratory, what is the significance of this history?
Weight loss history.
Yeah.
It means chronic pathology, ma'am. Or
okay, any criteria? I am asking you if
presumptive tuberculosis.
Yeah, so what are the other things? You complete that also now.
Associated with history of contact with open case of tuberculosis in the past 2 years, ma'am.
Okay. Within the 2 years, normally, yes, then tell. No, what I am telling, what are the other criteria? Fever
for
cough. Yeah. I think you didn't
fever
get the
for
question.
2 weeks duration without known cause, and unremitting cough for 2 weeks duration, associated with the weight loss.
Good. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Unremitting cough. It is not that you get a cough for 5 days, 10 days, all right, then again come. That doesn't become. It's an unremitting cough. Okay, go ahead, Sugan.
There's no issue of headache, ALOC or seizures to roll any CNS complications.
No, you finished all. Yeah.
Treatment history. Before coming to ICH, child was taken to private practitioner on day 2 of fever. She was prescribed oral medications, but fever was not settled, and in spite of the medicines, and associated fever, there was issue of breathlessness from the day 4 of life, day 4 of fever. So again taken to private practitioner. Imaging was done on the day 5 of fever, told to have some lung pathology and referred to ICH. At ICH, a child was initially given oxygen and intravenous injections. Diagnostic tapping was done on the left side of the chest, was started on oral medications, which was once a day morning dosing, and child was now symptomatically improving. Past history, there was no history of any previous hospitalizations for the similar illness or any surgical procedures done. There was no history of any exanthematous illness like measles or whooping cough in the past. History of nebulizations 4 times till now. The first one was given at 6 months of age. The child was not on any chronic oral medications or puff inhaler. Child was not a known case of congenital heart disease. There was no history of any contact with an open case of pulmonary tuberculosis.
What is the significance of previous hospitalization?
Previous hospitalization means recurrent pneumonia, recurrent effusion in this case. No. So,
Current or persistent pneumonia.
Persistent.
Okay. Repeated hospitalization. Okay.
You can also say that what is the significance of measles and whooping cough in a respiratory disorder. Past history of measles and whooping cough.
post measles, the child will be having an immunosuppression treatment, so will be more prone for a tuberculosis infection in these children.
Okay.
And complications like vitamin deficiencies will be more prone post measles, so the malnutrition will be more common.
No, what are other things? So both, okay, what you said is right. Measles, you have an immunosuppression where it can reactivate or it can also precipitate the silent LTB into tuberculosis. Anything else long term? Long term respiratory, both measles and whooping cough? Anyone in the audience? What happens when you have measles and whooping cough? What's the long term complications they can develop? Bronchitis. Yes, because you have a destruction, there will be activation of the inflammatory, and if this is not completely solved, it will keep on inviting infection, stagnation. So, long term consequence of bronchiectasis. Luckily, after vaccination, we are not seeing now. In those days, we used to see a lot with the history of measles and whooping cough. Okay, right, go ahead.
You said history of contact with active pulmonary tuberculosis. Who is a contact defined?
Contact means the adult or pediatric patient who is taking a anti-tuberculosis drugs within the past 2 years, and no contact means there will be visible contact within 1 hour of duration to the known patient.
Okay. Right, go ahead.
Antenatal history: mother was registered and immunized at Mambakam GH. Regular iron and folic acid tablets were taken. Regular antenatal visits were done. So anemia complicating pregnancy was present. Received 3 doses of intravenous iron injections. There was no history of any cough, fever, breathlessness, and neck swelling in the mother. Weight gain during pregnancy not known.
Okay, you know, in this case, this antenatal history is not very significant, but you are telling anemia complicating pregnancy. Just think if look at the father himself was malnourished, okay, he himself looks so thin, child is thin. We presume the mother also was thin, okay, or is thin rather, and suppose say she at that time maybe she had an LTBI during his pregnancy. Now she has got she is pregnant, let's presume, I think she has got a small baby or pregnant. So what is the significance?
To prevent the perinatal occurrence of tuberculosis, we have to rule out any tuberculosis infection in the mother with the presumptive TB.
So what you should say is, like, now this child is an index case, you have to go for reverse contact tracing. So you have to screen both the parents. Number 2, if the mother is just given birth to a baby, I think she's got a small baby. So in that case, you have to be more worried to screen the mother if positive about that baby. You have to start the treatment. What should you do for the baby? We may discuss later in LTBI, but what should we do immediately to that baby?
To start on, after ruling out the active tuberculosis, you have to start on ironside acid prophylaxis first.
After ruling out an active disease in that baby, you will start a prophylaxis. Okay, go ahead.
Natal and postnatal history. Baby was born with full-term normal vaginal delivery with birth weight of 2.6 kg. There was no history of any respiratory distress, cyanosis, jaundice, seizures or in the immediate newborn period. Breastfeeding initiated within half an hour of birth. Passed urine and stools within 24 hours. Child was discharged on day 3 of life and was exclusively breastfed up to 6 months. There was no history of any feeding difficulties or hospitalizations. No history of poor weight gain. Developmental history: milestones attained appropriate for age, and child is studying UKG. Scholastic performance is fair. Nutritional history: child is taking 960 calories against 1350 as a deficit of 30%, and protein intake of 18 grams per day against 20 and deficit of 10%. Nutrition history was calculated before the onset of the illness. Immunization history: immunized up to 18 months of age according to national immunization schedule. No optional vaccines were given. No significant family history. There was no history of any similar illness in the family members. Socioeconomic history: They live in a Paka house. 6 people residing in the house. There's 3 rooms with separate kitchen and toilet. There's no overcrowding. Cross ventilation was present. They're using a Panchayat tap water, which is they're using both boiled and unboiled water. They belong to lower middle class according to modified Kuppuswamy scale.
What is overcrowding?
Overcrowding means two persons of opposite sex are forced to live in a same room.
What is given in SPM? The age you have
Age.
missed. Age.
Ma'am,
Age.
age more than 18 years.
18. Ah.
More than 9
9.
years.
9 years.
So, more than 9, even if they are brother and sister, they share the same room to sleep,
Other
it is
than
fine. But if you put that, I think most of almost 90% of all of us have a overcrowded house. But then that is the definition of overcrowd. Okay.
Contact history, no contact with the case of active pulmonary tuberculosis, no known allergies. Summary, 5-year-old male child was presented with a fever for 1 week duration with a progressive dyspnea, which was not exertional type, with no history suggestion of cardiac hematologic system involvement, most probably a case of infectious etiology involving the respiratory system. Proceeding on to examination.
Okay, go ahead.
General examination, child is conscious oriented. The examining at the supine sitting position, it's not tachypneic, minimal intercostal retraction was present, hydration is normal, there's no pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing or pedal edema. The single 0.5 cross 1 centimeter lymph node which was palpable in the right posterior cervical region, which was mobile, firm in consistency, not matted and not tender. There's no significant generalized lymphadenopathy. BCG scar was present. There's no sinus, kyphoscoliosis or gibbous noted in.
Okay, 1 minute. Go back. Lymph node you have put as 0.5 to 1 centimeter. But what is the significant cervical lymph or rather lymphadenopathy in TB? Because we are going to discuss only TB. What is the size that is significant?
In cervical group, more than 1.5 centimeter is significant, ma'am, and axillary more than 1 centimeter is significant, and even the presence of epitracheal lymph nodes is significant. According to specific to tuberculosis, the significant lymphadenopathy means large lymph nodes with this matted group and it is firm in consistency, involving the multiple areas, ma'am.
So, if you the RNTCP's words, it's not 1.5, we use
1.5
2. We said more than 2 centimeters lymph nodes in the cervical or any region which persists in spite of a trial of antibiotic for 2 weeks, then only you will think of, unless there is a contact or something very strong, you will not suspect because children generally, okay. So, what will you do immediately when you have a thing, you have given an antibiotic and you have given a time of 2 weeks for it to subside. So, what is the first test you will do? Other than, we will discuss all that later. What is the other test? You do an X-ray Mantoux. What will you do for that lymph node first?
Lymph node, FNAC or excision biopsy?
Always first is FNAC, never a biopsy, and you will send it for?
Histopathological examination and CBNAT.
CBNAT. Okay, along with your HP. Okay, go ahead. And you have put a IV line present when you examine. Is there an IV? I don't see any IV line now. So, you have to remove that, right? Okay.
You said BCG scar is present in this case. So, what is the advantage of giving BCG?
BCG mainly prevents severity of the tuberculosis, mainly disseminated tuberculosis, to decrease the incidence.
Lessens serious forms of tuberculosis.
What is the biggest study of, I think that will put the question to the audience, the biggest study to test the efficacy of BCG, where was it done? All of you will have it in all your RNTCP and all, even the Western books. Even Nelson, I think, talks about that study. It was done in? It was done in Chengalpet. So, India, that's the largest study. What was the efficacy of BCG? Which according to that study, it ranged anywhere from 0 to 80%. That is why the Western countries did not give, never gave importance to BCG in the national. So, even at that time, even our own country, we had a doubt, but now we have absolutely clear this. We have to give BCG to all children in our India, which is an highly endemic. There is no divided opinion on that, but Western countries do not give. So, the raw study is called Chengalpet, but I think Nelson and all put it as Chingalpet, the same study.
Vitals, the temperature was 98 degree Fahrenheit measured in the right axilla. Heart rate was 106 per minute, which is regular in rhythm, normal volume, no specific character, no radioradial, radiofemoral delay, all peripheral pulses equally felt. Respiratory rate was 30 per minute, regular in rhythm, regular and abdominal thoracic type. Blood pressure was 90 by 60 millimeter mercury, measured in the right upper limb in sitting position. Anthropometry, the 5 years old male child with a height of 1 or 2 centimeter, belongs to 0 to -2 Z score. Weight was 12.7 kg, belongs to -2 to -3 Z score. Weight for height was -2 to -3 Z score. Moderate acute malnutrition was present. Mid upper arm circumference was 13.5 centimeter, which is normal. Systemic examination, an inspection of upper respiratory tract.
You didn't tell about external markers for tuberculosis in examination. Can you enumerate some?
External markers of tuberculosis from the head to foot, flictinular conjunctivitis, the eyes, ma'am, and skin like erythema nodosum.
So you come from here to leg. We have quite a lot of other things in between.
Tuberculitis.
Yeah, okay.
Flictinular conjunctivitis.
So you said
Lymph
Flimpton,
nodes.
tuberculosis.
Lymph nodes, cervical lymph nodes.
You can have sinuses, scars,
Sinuses.
okay, all that's external only. If the child doesn't have prominent but has some scars, you don't know whether you look for a past history or something, yeah. Then?
Erythema nodosum.
What is lupus vulgaris?
Because cutaneous lymph node disease.
Lupus vulgaris.
Cutaneous manifestation of the tuberculosis. ma'am.
Not the node. Where will it come? Which area of the body? What is the characteristic feature of that? I think that's usually in the face, in the cheek. It will have one end progression, one end scarring, and that granulation tissue will look like a apple jelly granulation. Okay, that is very luckily we are not seeing. Those days we have seen, we are not seeing now. Then you can always say about even a dactylitis. Okay, all these are external markers only. Okay, right. Go.
Oral cavity, there is no dental caries, there is broken upper incisor teeth is present. Ears are normal, nose, no DVD nasal septum, polyps are discharged, no sinus tenderness. JVP is not elevated. Lower respiratory tract, trachea appears to be in midline, chest wall is symmetrical, intercostal fullness was noted in the left mammary region, intercostal retractions are present. The chest movement was slightly reduced on the left side, apex beat is noted in the left fifth intercostal space in the midclavicular line, skin of the chest is normal. There's post-pleural tap mark in the left mid-axillary line present, no scars, sinus, dilated veins, pulsations, crowding of ribs are present. On palpation, the tracheal portion is confirmed to be in the midline. Apical impulse is felt in the left fifth intercostal space medial to the midclavicular line. Chest wall movement is decreased on the left side. Then chest expansion was 1.5 centimeter. There's no intercostal tenderness and no tactile fremitus.
What is your comment on apical impulse? Yeah, from your history and everything, we've come to what is the diagnosis most probably. But what is the only thing which is not going exactly into with that?
Actually, tracheal position is in the midline, ma'am. So
Yeah, that's okay. Trachea need not shift in all cases of it.
Okay.
But your apical impulse,
Apical
it is not
impulse.
shifted. No? Right. What is the commonest cause of shifting of apical impulse? Suppose you see 100 people, you do a study and normal, abnormal, everybody and look and see. What is the commonest cause of, this is just by the way what is given in Hutchison. Commonest cause of shifting of apical impulse in an asymptomatics. Now the commonest cause is skeletal deformity more than the disease. Okay, that's by the way. Go.
And vocal fremitus was decreased in the mammary, axillary, infraxillary, interscapular, infrascapular regions, which is normal on the right hemithorax. On percussion, direct clavicular percussion on the both sides are normal. The stony dullness was noted in the mammary, axillary, infraaxillary, interscapular, infrascapular regions on the left side, and it was resonant on the right hemithorax. The top space dullness was present. In auscultation, breath sounds were decreased in the mammary, axillary, infraaxillary, interscapular, infrascapular regions on the left side, and it was normal on the right side. Auscultation, vocal resonance was decreased in the mammary, axillary, infraaxillary, interscapular, infrascapular regions on the left side, it was normal on the right side. On auscultation, no pleural rub was heard and no other added sounds are heard.
Normally, how will a pleural rub be when heard? When will it be heard and how will it be?
Pleural rub will be heard in the initial stages of the pleural effusion, and it's a minimal fitters in the minimal pleural effusion. There will be rubbing of the both parietal and visceral pleura will be there, and it will cause a pleural rub. When it is the pleural effusion becomes moderate to massive pleural effusion, it will be disappeared.
Okay. Which phase of respiration?
During inspiration.
Only in one phase? Should it can be heard. It will be like a swishing, how you rub two clothes, no? It will be like
Paper,
that.
not a paper.
Like paper, you know, you rub like that.
And there will be a positional variation and variation in cough. That and all will aggravate. It will be associated with pain over that side of the chest wall also.
Okay.
Other system examination, cardiovascular system, first and second hours on the head normally, snow murmur, abdomen examination which is soft, liver is palpable 3 cm below the right costal margin, liver span is 6 cm which is normal for age, and spleen is non-palpable. Central nervous system, no focal neurological deficits and no meningeal signs. Here's summary. A 5-year-old male child presented with a low-grade fever for 1 week and progressive dyspnea for 4 days duration. And examination, chest expansion decreased on the left side with the decreased breath sounds, vocal phlebitis and vocal resonance, and stony dullness and percussion over the left hemithorax. So it's a case of left pleural effusion with moderate acute malnutrition, most common etiology being the tuberculosis.
Why you are so sure that it is tuberculosis?
Presence of low-grade fever and otherwise well child in between the fever spikes, so not toxic.
So
child.
not a very high sick, high fever or toxemia to suggest a bacterial. It could have been a viral, but by then if even a viral can produce a minimal pleural effusion, but that would have got spontaneously resolved. It will not come to you. So most probably it is being a
One more thing you said, loss of weight, which is very significant in this case.
And MAN2, I think you have not mentioned in the Excel.
At present is not visible. So
Okay, so the positivity was there.
Was there.
Okay. Suppose say this child also has a liver and spleen enlargement. What would have been your diagnosis?
Disseminated tuberculosis can present with hepatosplenomegaly along with other symptoms.
Yeah. So your diagnosis would have been because liver was palpable, but it is not a significant liver span. Okay. Right. Let's proceed. I think it's more of. Yeah. So what will you do? How will you go about managing this child?
Investigations, basic complete blood count to look for a total count whether it is increased or decreased. Increased.
What do you expect?
Increased total in this case there will be normal total count.
Almost
with,
normal, maybe a little bit of lymphocytic predominance.
ESR.
Is ESR significant in diagnosis of TB in children? Ore vartha, yes or no?
No.
Okay, right. Okay, but you will do as a completion, but not as a diagnostic at all. Okay.
Tuberculin skin test.
Okay.
The left forearm with the use of 2 tuberculin units. The left forearm and chest X-ray to.
Wait. Okay. Now what we are doing is now 2 TU we are doing, and we all know that we do not get it from Kunnur or from Central Copenhagen Institute. So we are now planning for a different TST. What is it?
From CTB, it's.
Okay, tell everybody what is CTB.
CTB Copenhagen TB skin test, which is to be implemented soon for the diagnosis of TB infection, which is more sensitive and specific than MAN2 test. And
what is the advantage of that CTB, or what does it contain?
It contains mycobacterial antigens, which is
ESAT5 and
ESAT6
CFP10.
and
Yeah.
CFP10 microbial antigens are present, which is more specific, and it does not affect with the BCG vaccination or other atypical mycobacterial organisms.
Yeah. So it doesn't interfere. Your BCG cannot interfere with that report, and other than the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, like your bovis and all, cannot give a false. So that's a very big advantage. And for the last 1 year, we've been waiting. The real truth is, unfortunately, maybe because we are not going to get that antigen now. So what is the other test that now we are going to resort to in the event of a shortage of a good MAN2 fluid? So,
gamma releases.
yeah. So we are now planning for children ideally over 5. If not, now the recent guidelines is going to even include 2 and above is IGRAS. Just tell a few words about IGRAS.
Interferon gamma release assays consist of 2 tests. One is quantiferon TB test and other is spot TB test. And quantiferon TB test measures the amount of interferons
gamma produced.
Interferons gamma produced from the lymphocytes, and a TB spot test measures only the lymphocytes which are producing the interferon gamma.
So this measures the real assay of the interferon gamma, that is the cells producing. That's a difference, but both are equally good. Okay. So what are the advantage of IGRAS and what is the disadvantage of IGRAS?
Advantages of IGRAS means it is actually single procedure, it's a one-day procedure. Child need not come for the second visit,
Yes.
and
The same thing what you said before.
it does
No
not affect,
BCG cross reactivity, no
does
other
not affect with the
atypical.
BCG cross reactivity.
What's the disadvantage?
The disadvantage, it is a costly procedure.
Cost more, okay. It's a
And,
little, okay, procedure we won't go in detail, all of you, how to collect, how to shake, how to transport, that's a little cumbersome. Expensive, so very expensive, so difficult in our countries which are resource limited, but then we are, I think already Tiruvallur has started doing IGRAS. So most probably here in the near future we will start doing IGRAS for 5 years and above, and also maybe 2 and above later, but in countries like western countries like US and all, they have started already IGRAS. Tell me the the similarities between Vanto and IGRAS.
They
TST.
both don't differentiate between the tuberculosis infection and active tuberculosis disease.
Very good. So they don't distinguish, just like Manto only. It is nothing better than the Manto in this thing. Doing maybe easy, it's same, and the sensitivity is also equally good. But there are, what are the conditions in which you will be forced to do both? You do a TST and then again you may do an IGRAS, or in a western country they have done an IGRAS and they want to repeat. There are some conditions in which we may have to do both.
Inconclusive test with TST, which is in the borderline range, you can repeat
Okay.
with the gram.
Determinate.
So suppose you do a
Latent
Manto,
infection.
so a well educated family, when you do a Manto and tell them, and they are not accepting to start an ATT, or to convince them that the contact, if the child has got the disease from the contact or an adult, you have to prove it with an IGRAS. Or when you have a doubtful Manto or TST, but still you have a strong suspicion of a tuberculosis,
Latent
yes, you can do both. So it's not that when you do a Manto and you have got a equivocal, you have to stop there, you can always go ahead with IGRAS and do. But it is not so far not advocated for less than children 5 till the last RNTCP guidelines, but from the next guidelines we will be using possibly 2 as a cutoff. Is yet to come, we are yet to finalize. Okay, go ahead. So that's about TST and IGRAS, yeah.
Next.
Next is chest X-ray. To rule out
What
any
are the manifestations of tuberculosis in chest X-ray?
main manifestations may be miliary tuberculosis or any cavitary lesions, or primary complex consists of primary parenchymal disease with hilar lymphadenopathy.
Any notes?
So these 3 are confirmatory
Confirmatory for
of
tuberculosis.
mostly, that's also 95 to 99%, yes, TB. So what are the other things which can suggest, but then you have to confirm?
Unilateral pleural effusion,
Consolidation.
consolidation.
You can think of PPC, but you cannot say yes, this is TB. So what will you do?
To confirm the diagnosis, other investigations to.
You have got a consolidation.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say this child has come and you have found out a consolidation, and you what will you do first? You are suspecting TB, no doubt. You are taking an X-ray. You are doing a Manto. What will you give that child?
To start an IV antibiotics initially to look
You
for
want
any
to, I mean, the child is not so sick. You really want to start IV? Okay, if the child, when the child came may be sick, yes. What antibiotic will you choose?
What antibiotic you choose and
Antibiotic,
what to avoid?
Yes, ma'am. Other than the second-hand drugs used in TB, you can use, ma'am, like levofloxacin, amikacin. We should not avoid.
Okay, you are telling what we should not do. Tell me what you should do.
Third generation cephalosporins are
Ideal,
amoxicillins.
start your simple ampicillin, amoxicillin or amoxiclav. In between we were little worried because amoxiclav also should be an anti-TB, but we have removed it. So use ampi, amoxiclav. Do not use linezolates, do not use aminoglycosides, do not use quinolones. They are all anti-tuberculous which come as the second line. With so much of MDR, we are using so much of those drugs for children and adults. So please restrict. Unnecessary use of such antibiotics should be avoided. Okay, that's what we expected from you. Okay.
USG chest to
Okay. So this child particularly you would have had an effusion, right? I presume your X-ray was an effusion. So you are going ahead with USG chest. Very good. So what are the advantages of USG chest for a child, especially in effusion?
USG chest will pick up minimal pleural effusion will be present, ma'am. It can also pick up any septations or viculations present in the pleural effusion.
Very good.
Associated consolidation or fibrosis you can pick up.
Yeah, so it is not, it can pick up the effusion which is as low as even 5 to 10 ml, you know, 5 ml and ultrasound, where how much of ml is required for an X-ray minimum for the obliteration of angle? Minimum
3 and
50,
50
minimum, that is to minimal line, one small thing you need a 50 ml, whereas an ultrasound even 5 ml can be picked up, the biggest advantage. Another thing, as you said, septations present or not, yes, more of thick septum suggestive of bacterial, floating objects again suggestive,
Pleural
and the
thickening.
age of the thickening, pleural, all these are made up. So what is the lesson that you learn? For a simple pleural effusion, ultrasound is more than enough and not a CT, and CT is never an investigation of choice. That is why he has also not put there for a pleural effusion. So that is a lesson, because it is a beautiful investigation. So just to extend that, is there any other use of ultrasound in lung nowadays? It is slowly coming up.
ultrasound in
Anybody? A lines, B lines? So nowadays, yeah, it is coming as a point of care test, because this because of the good cartilage, it serves as a good acoustic window for you to see the effusion and all that. But then you cannot see the lung, so that's why, because it keeps reflecting artificial. But then now studying the artificial artifacts, now you know there is an A line, there is a B line, and when you have more than 3 B lines, it means a disease. So suppose a child has come to an ER, you are not able to do an X-ray there, don't worry, you can do an X-ray chest, ultrasound chest, pick up the B lines, more than 3 B lines, you know there is a consolidation. More than this amount of thickening, then you know the pleural thickening. So that is coming in the long way. So nowadays ultrasound chest is slowly entering as a point of care test in an emergency room and the wards. Okay, that is for the infant. Okay, go ahead.
Resting gastric juice are induced to sputum with to send
And
for
of course,
CBN.
don't forget ultrasound guided tapping also we can do. Yeah.
Ultrasound guiding tapping, pleural fluid analysis, which includes gross analysis and the cell count, pH, protein, sugar, LDH, albumin, gram staining, culture sensitivity, AFP and CBNAT, and the basic LFT before starting an ATT, and serum albumin LDH for completion sake to know the exudate or transudate to comparison, and HIV screening should be done for this child.
Yeah. Always do an HIV screening in all children. All children with HIV should undergo a TB screening. All children with TB should undergo an HIV screening. That is the
What precaution you take when you are doing induced sputum?
Induced sputum should be done in the ventilated room. Should opposing person should wear a mask.
What
properly.
mask?
N95 mask should wear
Yes.
properly.
And there should be something.
And exhaust fan should be there in the room.
yes.
And first you should apply the salbutamol nebulization. Before that you have to monitor the child's heart rate, respiratory rate and saturation and vitals.
Yeah.
And you have to give a salbutamol nebulization, and post that 3% saline nebulization, which will expectorate the sputum. And if the child is not expectorating, means you can aspirate from the nasopharyngeal aspiration.
Very good.
What is the role of CBNAT in pleural effusion? How much is the yield positivity?
Actually, pleural effusion, there will be CBNAT sensitivity will be more actually, ma'am, because of the hypersensitivity reaction. Tubercle basically is causing hypersensitivity reaction causes pleural effusion. So, MAN2 positivity rate usually high, but negativity does not rule out in tubercle effusion.
In that case, we can go for
Pleural biopsy in pleural biopsy.
Pleural biopsy, how good is the pickup of TB in a pleural
80
biopsy?
to 90% you can.
80 to 90%, we don't do otherwise. But you know, CBNAT will be always negative because it's a reactionary or inflammatory. But why in a pleural effusion you want to do an RGJ and IS?
To rule out pulmonary tuberculosis.
Okay, but that
To
should not be the
initial
answer.
manifestation.
Any system involved, whether it's CNS, bone, node, effusion, RGJ and or IS is a must for to diagnose. You can pick up a bacillus from there. So, irrespective of the symptom, even if it's a cervical lymphadenopathy or inguinal, please do an RGJ or an IS. When you do both on the same day, how good is the yield? Suppose day morning, early morning you have taken an RGJ and after 2 hours you are doing an induced sputum. It is very good, the yield will be
80%.
high and we get so much of positivities. And I think we don't have to go and say that when we don't get a good yield, we turn the child little bit on the left, it will be that, tilting, we get a very good yield, and the positivity, thanks, because to us we have NIRT so close by, we get a very good positivity of CBNAT. Okay. So having that to complete, you just tell what is CBNAT, what is TrueNAT, what is CBNAT Ultra, for the benefit of everybody.
CBNet means a cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test, which is a PCR-based test. It is done in the all fluid samples, ma'am, except
that's
blood
what,
and
except
you can
blood and urine.
except blood and urine. You can pick up the diagnosis of case of tuberculosis sensitivity around 80 to 90%, ma'am. And reports turnout time is 1
What's
hour
the
45
advantage?
minutes.
What is the real advantage of CBNAT?
Quick
It's a game
diagnosis.
changer for tuberculosis.
Quick diagnosis, 1 hour 45 minutes, we can
Yeah.
diagnose the patient, ma'am. And it is confirmatory. We can start the microbiologically confirmed tuberculosis.
So it's a microbiology confirmed tuberculosis within 2 hours, and what happened? So then you got stuck. Refer sensitivity. So you pick up the resistance to the important
rifampicin
first line
resistance.
drug.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, referrus. Why rifamycin is chosen instead of any other drug actually for
And
the
if rifampicin resistance means you can brand it as MDR tuberculosis in the China.
Yeah, it's an easier drug to test in CBNAT, and once you get that, you have to totally change the diagnosis as an MDR. Okay, right. Say something about TrueNAT fast.
TrueNet alternate CBNet will be pick up in 30 minutes.
No. Ultra is different. TrueNAT is nothing but the same CBNAT, which is not the CBNAT machine what we are using is GeneXpert, is an imported. Our own native machine is the TrueNAT, produced in Goa, in Andhra Pradesh. That machine is widely used, battery operated, portable. It is as good as CBNAT, except that to be precise, for a CBNAT to pick up, you need 131 bacillus. For that you require 150 bacillus. That's a difference, but it's very, very cheap. What is Ultra? Ultra is what is CBNAT Ultra? It's another modified version, which is,
Which can pick up in a yearly within
what is the number of bacilli required?
10 bacilli.
16.
16.
16
Yeah,
bacilli.
you are little thing. Okay, go ahead. So
But conventional
everything about
testing-
this you should know.
Conventional testing requires how much bacillus?
10 bacilli per annum.
10,000
Culture test.
bacillus இருந்தா தான் acid
Culture
fast training and the
Smear,
Smear
madam is
10,000
asking for
bacilli.
smear. Yes. Okay, right, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
we have
Start
red
presenting.
ink HIV screening. Want to do in all cases of tuberculosis? HIV?
Yes, ma'am. All case of tuberculosis, you have to do HIV screening. And
Why?
the coexistence of TB and HIV is more prone, ma'am. And also starting of ART and ATT, you should be careful in starting the ART, ma'am.
That is one. And another thing, resistant tuberculosis
Resistant
is not common
tuberculosis is high
with
in
HIV.
HIV.
You should say HIV children are more prone for TB, they are more prone for MDR TB, they are more prone for complicated TB, they have more mortality, and anything else? They are more prone for dash reaction,
Iris.
iris reaction. So that is exactly why you have. Okay, go ahead. We'll talk about iris later. Okay, go.
This is the mantle reaction was noted in the
Yeah.
child.
So we've discussed this. So just go ahead.
This is the X-ray of the child initially on presentation and after 10 days of starting ATT.
Very surprising is there's hardly mediastinal shift for that amount of effusion. Okay. So this is the child is responding.
Supposing doesn't improve with 2 weeks of starting ATT,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you think?
First, you have to make sure the correct diagnosis was done, and you have to make sure the drug compliance was good with the history, like to bring the empty blister packets, and you have to make sure the compliance is good. And next thing, if everything is good, means you have to rule out any drug resistant tuberculosis. You have
Yes,
to rule out.
Okay. So first you will rule out whether wrong diagnosis, wrong dose, wrong method, all that, and of child who has continuous vomiting. So that absorption may be. So all this, and then only you will think of MDR. What are the conditions in which you will think of MDR TB?
MDR TB you should suspect in case of any contact with a case of known MDR TB, ma'am. And contact with a case who have died recently during the
Yeah,
TB
okay.
treatment. And child is not responding to treatment within 2 weeks of ATT. It's not gaining adequate weight, not gaining appetite, and no radiological clearing or worsening of radiological.
So, a
manifestations.
non-responder, yes, okay. So, a non-responder, contact with MDR,
Contact with TB patient who are died during the ATT treatment and who are lost follow-up during the ATT.
lost for follow-up. In all of them, you will suspect an MDR, okay, right. So, we won't know what is poly, all that you can read up. So, what we are nowadays seeing is an MDR and XDR, okay, right. But next, you go ahead. அடுத்து போவோம். Okay. Suppose say this child is responded like this. For 2 weeks child is fine, okay, appetite. The father himself told us that child is eating well and he is fed. Suddenly after say 3 weeks to 4 weeks, the child has got an effusion on the opposite side. A little more breathless, okay. What will you think of?
I have to think of a paradoxical reaction after ruling out the drug compliance or MDR TB.
Yes.
After ruling out other, this is diagnosis of exclusion. No? It's a paradoxical reaction.
So, you always know the child is doing well and then developing the funding. So, just explain what is paradoxical reaction in non-HIV, what is an iris in HIV and what is unmasking iris in HIV. Okay.
Paradoxical reaction means in non-HIV children, ma'am, they will be developing worsening of pleural effusion which is already present, or new onset of pleural effusion, new onset of lymph nodes, or worsening of lymph nodes, or onset of CNS manifestations. Mostly it occurs within 3 to 6 weeks of starting the ATT, and you have to monitor the child, ma'am, whether drug compliance is good, everything is good, means we can wait and watch for a child, and it will resolve spontaneously in a 3 to 6 months, 3 to 3 months duration.
It can go up to 2 months, but the child is fine, we may not have to add. What if the child has got increasing tuberculosis, headache, a slight suspicion of increasing ICT? What will you do?
And
You have to start the child on steroids.
Short to
So, once
steroids.
you are very sure it is only a paradoxical upgrading reaction, you can, all a child is otherwise well, having increasing tuberculosis, increasing edema, yes, you can definitely add steroids and watch the child. Okay. In an HIV child, just tell what is iris, what happens, what is the something called paradoxical iris.
Iris means immune reconstitution inflammatory syndrome. Ma'am. It occurs in HIV children after starting the ART. For ART, paradoxical iris means the child is already having a TB and who is on ATT. If starting ART means there will be increase in CD4 count, there will be immunity will be increased. So the manifestations of the tuberculosis will become rampant, and the child is having increase in the pleural effusion and lymph nodes enlargement. Or
So,
CNS
all what you
manifestations.
explained, yes.
Unmasking iris means child is not previously having an tuberculosis, not have had any symptoms of tuberculosis previously. After starting ART, the child will develop TB symptoms newly, and they
The
will
child
show
does not have
symptoms.
TB, child is on ART, and suddenly you find multiple focus of tuberculosis in the child. This is called unmasking iris, where till now the immunity was so bad for this HIV child with a low CD4 is not reacting to the tuberculous bacillus. But then after the immunity improves, all small focus will start manifesting. So, the child will develop nodes, can develop HSM, that is called unmasking iris. Okay, that is by the way. Okay, then we were talking about MDR, right? Okay, you didn't, we didn't discuss about the role of culture and role of LPA.
Culture will give the results after 82 days of, it can be liquid based culture or solid culture. Solid culture will reveal the culture in 82 days, and the liquid culture in 2 months duration, and both are time consuming, and LPA will give results in 48 hours of testing. So LPA will reveal the resistance to all other first line, second line drugs. So LPA is better choice.
So, LPA you can do it in even the RGJ. So, LPA you can do it in, when a CB-NAT is positive, you can automatically ask for LPA, or and you can always do it in culture. Are we doing liquid? Yeah. What culture are we doing here? Are we doing a solid or liquid or both?
We are doing the liquid culture.
We are preferring liquid, but most of the time we are doing both liquid and solid, but liquid is ideal. What is that? Just tell.
Mycobacterial growth inhibitor tube, MGTAC.
Indicator.
Mycobacterial growth indicator tube, which detects the presence of carbon dioxide from the growing bacteria.
Actually, it's an oxygen sensitive. So, it is suppressed, the radioactivity is suppressed, and that is the liquid or Middlebrook medium. And then once the oxygen is consumed, that you will start getting a fluorescent. It means the mycobacteria is growing. So, immediately you take a sample and do an LPA, you will get a, so within 10 to 14 or 16 days you will get a culture evidence, and you will also get a sensitivity. So, that is why we all prefer to do MIGIT, and we do all cultures MIGIT, and at times MIGIT plus solid, but not first priority is always MGIT or MIGIT culture. Okay. Right. So, just tell something about the drugs that we use for MDR. Do we decide, or we send somewhere?
After drug sensitivity testing, we decide the...
Yeah, we do all the sensitivity, we pick up mono, we pick up poly, everything we do. But who decides the regime ideally for an MDR and XDR? You have to refer them for an expert. See, we have picked up one monoresistant, we can modify the regime, but we have to always get approval from. So, we have a resistant advisory group with whom we always interact and modify the drugs. Okay. So, that we have to do, and we are seeing, very unfortunately, we are having a lot of MDR, monoresistant, INH resistant, we have polydrug, everything is there. So, that is why so to prevent this, what should we do?
Drug compliance should be good, ma'am, and initially testing.
So, we should talk about early detection.
Early detection and proper treatment and proper follow-up, and yearly testing of CBNet, it will to detect the monoresistance initially, ma'am. We can ban it as MDR TB, or CBNet should be done.
Contact tracing.
So,
Contact
contact
tracing
tracing. What are the steps, what are the real steps that one should take to prevent TB, prevent TB transmission?
Hygiene and small
So,
cough etiquette.
Early detection and a good cough etiquette, the tissue papers you can ask them to dispose. What we were using, now everybody, all hand hygiene and mask has come to everybody, which we were talking only for TB, now it has come for everybody. Then do not miss about talking about LTBI prophylaxis for children of close contact. So, what are all the drugs used? When do you start giving? Just a word about that. I think we have got another 4 minutes.
LTBA.
LTBA.
Latent tuberculosis infection means a fever for 2 weeks duration and unremitting cough or
No. LTBI. I am asking what is latent tuberculosis? What is it?
Latent tuberculosis infection without any microbiological confirmed TB, there will be tuberculin sensitivity, skin sensitivity will be positive, or contact TB will be positive. Child will be after ruling out active TB, child should be started on IPT, isoniazid preventive therapy should be started, 10 mg per kg per day for 6 months duration.
What drug? How long?
Isoniazid 10 mg per kg.
For all age groups?
Yes, ma'am, up to 18 years we can give.
Okay, so, okay. Now, what we are now giving is up to the age of 6, everybody we gives INH prophylaxis for 6 months. Though they say 9 months is ideal, we are giving 6 months and we are finding it adequate to prevent. So, yarukkalam kudukrom. For whom and all we are starting, you have to tell.
So, close contact with
Start from newborn period, man.
Perinatal, to prevent the perinatal tuberculosis, if the mother is having tuberculosis and a child, you have to start and the newborn with, after ruling out the TB, you should start an isoniazid prophylaxis preventive therapy. No?
Very good. Always use the term after ruling out an active disease. Yes.
And if the sibling is positive or after screening out the family members, if the child is less than 6 years of age, we can start an isoniazid prophylaxis therapy.
Okay. Then all HIV
children more than 12 months of age, we can start an isoniazid prophylaxis
therapy. Yeah, if they are active disease, or okay. Then what about the children
After,
above 6 years? 6 years. Are we, that is not in books only now, it's evaluated, but it is in Western books also. So, you can give short duration INH and rifamycin for 3 months. That is already in your Nelson. That is also going to come for us. So, for bigger children above 5, what we are planning is now to give them 3 months of rifamycin and INH. What is another new drug expected to come which will be taken for prophylaxis? Anything else? Some long acting rifampicin. So, once that long acting rifampicin come, we may be switching over to a weekly prophylaxis for 12 weeks. Okay. So, that is all in the pipeline now, because now when do we want to eradicate TB from the world? India is when? TB is when? World is when?
22.
So we want to eradicate. India says, one more minute. Okay, 25 and world 30. So we have to eradicate. What is the TB day theme for the year?
Ma'am, stop clicking the clicking clock.
The clock
Stop
is ticking. We are running short of time. So we have to combat the MDR TB and control the TB. Okay. Okay, so how long, what is the treatment regimen this child is on?
Child is on HR is a T plus 4 HR. 2 HR is a T plus 4 HR.
HRE or HR?
HRE. ma'am.
HRE,
T plus 4 HRE.
Suppose the child had severe distress, would you have given steroids?
Actually, not severe distress means endobronchial tuberculosis and
What
tuberculosis.
okay, in other words, I'll put the question, absolute indication for steroids and tuberculosis.
Absolute indications means on CNS tuberculosis or spinal tuberculosis and pericardial TB
Very good.
and
You have to see
tuberculosis.
properly.
Iritis.
Iritis, then one more.
Endobronchial tuberculosis.
Miliary tuberculosis with alveolar capillary block, where they will be having severe distress. Okay. Then you are relatively, what you said is true, we do give it for endobronchial. Sometimes severe distress in pleural effusion, child is very sick, we have used. But it is not normally it is not indicated for other. Initially those days genitourinary and all, nowadays no role even for that. Okay. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the session, right? Mudichitama.
Done well, presented well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, you did a good job.